Yeah, hey, my name is Farzad, and you don't really want to know my long last name. And let's just like settle down on YZ as initials. And I'm a software engineer, usually just enthusiastic about JavaScript. And well, you can see a lot of things that interest me: GraphQL, React, and state management as concept, Node.js, and static generators like Gatsby and React Static. I happen to be a maintainer of React Static, so if you ever use it, cool. And I'm so enthusiastic about open source. Usually, GitHub is my favorite social network. So, and I'm really interested in functional programming, but I suck at it. And I really like Elm. And one of the reasons that I joined this company is that because some people were using Elmlang in their projects, although they don't like give me that project, whatever. Yeah, and I love ReasonML. I'm learning it, so if you're really interested in ReasonML and OCaml, generally just find me and let's learn together. And generally, I'm passionate about meetups. You can find me in literally all the meetups in Helsinki. And I've been to one conference in my whole life, but I'm planning to have more. And well, I'm interested to give some talks about my shitty opinions. Yeah, so you can find me generally on Twitter all the time, trying to suck other people's opinions and write a couple of my own. And I happen to have a couple of articles which are really, really simple, so don't go there on Medium. GitHub and my website, which is just literally a paragraph. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about React without React. I actually cheated a bit and chose a really trendy topic to just like attract more people to be here today. So yay. And well, yeah, but joking aside, I really want to talk about React without React. So I think everybody who's sitting here and probably there, yeah, have at least heard once about React, right? You're either a developer who's working with or have heard of React, or you're a designer, a good one probably, that is working closely with developers, who is also like using React or React Native or those sort of tools. So you know about React. And I want to say that I really like Reactish thinking, and I think it's great. And by Reactish, I don't mean the React, which is a library from Facebook itself, but I mean thinking about components, thinking about declarative managements, thinking about revolutions in front-end and client code base generally. And why I like Reactish thinking is that it was a revolution in front-end. I don't know everyone remembers the shitty jQuery dumb thing that we used to write before. And it's not so far, it's just like 4 years ago, right? People are still, I mean, Stack Overflow is for God's sake is still on jQuery. They're probably doing a good thing with jQuery, but that's not usually jQuery we remember. And I like reactive thinking because it has a declarative API. It means that it's not tight coupled to a bunch of things that's going to just like choke us 1 week after we wrote the code. And it leverages the ability to write component-based UI, which is, wow, really revolution. Because before React, I don't personally remember I've been reading any kind of components. So a couple of other things that I like about Reactish thinking is that it has a built-in state handling that I personally think, and a couple of other people in the community, that is the most scalable way to manage the states in a larger scale React code base. Not Redux, not any other sort of state management. I like the built-in ones. It enables sync and async rendering. Async rendering is pretty new with the suspense and other stuff that's really still hot in the React master branch. And the sync was just like was there forever. And it has built-in code splitting right now because you probably have heard of React lazy now, which enables the ability for you to do dynamic import. And so React is how like built-in code splitting without any kind of bundler. And it enables the ability for you to decouple your UI and business, which is a great win for us, right? Because I remember the code that I was writing was like, yeah, do whatever you want, like do this couple of like dumb operations, after that fetch it, try to connect to WebSocket, try to do some super imperative stuff, super tight coupled. But with React, I had a tool that could teach me how to do proper coding on front end. And recently we had the React hooks, so it means they don't need classes anymore, but let's not get in that now. And well, with the rise of React, we had rise of a lot of other goodies stuffs, like state managements and design systems. So before that, we only had pure CSS and a bunch of preprocessors and, well, some thoughts about post-CSS. But after that, we had design systems, we had CSS in JS. You don't want to know my opinion on that. And well, what it's useful for is that it leverages reusability for us, right? So we could have like, I mean, Futurice can't have that, but probably other companies that they have a bunch of products, they want to have branding identity, and they want to have like a solid design system around that. Well, as I said, yeah. But if React is so good, and if I believe in React myself, what is the problem with React then? What am I even here talking about this sort of stuff today? The problem with React is that it's adding up some sort of jobs and stuff to the runtime. Browser runtime, it sucks, okay? There are like a lot of jobs that need to be taken care of on the browser runtime already, and yet we are shipping React and React bindings. And what I mean by React bindings, I mean, I hope it's shared, yeah. I don't know whether it's pronounced well, yeah. There's this great website, which is called Bundlephobia, or whatever, and it shows you the cost of adding a dependency to your client project. So this is React, and this happened. This is only 6 kilobytes because this happened after they rewrote and refactored the whole React thing, this React Fiber engine. And this is like this used to be really heavier, but now it's just 6 kilobytes. But the binding logic is only on React DOM for browser and React Native, which is another sort of generic rendering engine for React on mobile. And you see, with just using React DOM, you're just literally using one line of React DOM, right? If you're not doing server-side coding, you're just saying React DOM render this. That's it. You don't see React DOM for the rest of the project. And that costs you 100 kilobytes in your bundle. Let's just say that you're not shipping. It's just like a raw bundle size. But yeah, it's not just about network. When you add a dependency, like React and React DOM, you're adding runtime business logic. Not business logic, but let's just say runtime logic. And by runtime logic, I mean scheduling, priority queues that React is internally handling different things, like prioritizing users' updates on top of React's internal state things, like doing async rendering, doing suspending, fallbacking, and these sort of stuff that React does. These are all runtime logic. And you're adding them by having the cost of 100 kilobytes in your bundle size. And you're adding to the scripting time. I mean, if you've ever opened the developer tools of like Chrome or whatever other browser you use, you can see like a really circular chart that shows you a yellowish thing that says scripting. And that means, for example, let's just get back for a moment and say that, for example, if you have like an image dependency in your project and it's just 100 kilobytes, you can easily get rid of that dependency by using other sort of techniques. But adding 100 kilobytes of dependency that adds to the runtime logic, it's not just about the network thing. It's about parsing, it's about scripting. You can use it, you can like, add it to your browser, reference it async, and like defer and other stuff. But still, the parsing and evaluating of your JavaScript dependency is happening synchronously. It means that the browser, for handling and parsing and evaluating your React and bindings on runtime of the browser, is going to just idle other stuff and just do it. So it means that you'll have slower bootstrap time. This is exactly what happened a year ago for Netflix. Do you remember the image that Netflix guys were demoing in a conference or something? They were saying that we wiped out React, and it like blew up some sort of fire and flame in the community that, oh, Netflix is just wiping out React. There was a fight over it. And what they did was they wanted the Netflix's homepage because it was super visited by other people. You usually you don't go to Netflix by like a URL from a movie or film or something. You go to the netflix.com, right? Directly. So netflix.com, the homepage, is a bottleneck in the service. So they had to make it super fast. They had to boost it somehow. So they wiped out React from their runtime there. And they won. Now they had like 2 times more speed. And well, by wiping out React and React DOM, let's just say, if it's not yet ruined the idea. I'm just going to show you a way to get away from React and React DOM on your bundle and still use the goodiest stuff from React. You will save this asset size, so 100 less bundle. And another problem is that we're not using the platform. If we're shipping some stuff and we're building products for the browser, it means that we have to use the browser, for God's sake. We have to use DOM. React is a library. It's not a framework. But still, the idea matters. Frameworks and libraries, they don't just get away from the complexity. They just move it around, right? If you use React, it doesn't mean that your application is not complex or complicated. React just wiped it out and abstracted for you. So it means that you don't have to deal with the complexity. Your application and the state management and rendering and other good stuff that you're doing for your users is still complicated. Client has always been a bottleneck, whether it's been on the mobile, whether it's been on the web browser, or I don't know, any sort of IoT device or desktop. Client programming has always been a bottleneck because of its complicated nature. So what React and other frameworks like Angular and Vue or Svelte are doing is that they're just moving away the complexity for you, let you take care of the business logic and other stuff, and they would do the repetitive thing that they have to do to manage the complexity on the platform. So another problem with using React or other libraries and frameworks is that we're not using the built-in platform. And the last one is, I hope it's the last one, is that we're not shipping native platform bindings. We are shipping the framework. Why would my user care about React in the bundle size and in the product and in the runtime if I only use it for my own development experience, right? I use React because I want my life to be easier. Why would my user care about it? So the idea is we only want to ship UX. We don't want to ship DX, do we? React is just a development experience sugar thing. It's not a user experience, is it? It's just making our lives as developers easier. So we don't have, it's not fair to just put it in all the browser and let the users take care of it and download it all the time. And React lets us save the great development experience for our development because let's face it, before React, frontend was shit. And the idea is, with wiping out React and React DOM from your product, you could leverage the ability to compile native bindings. It means DOM on browser, and it means modules and native modules on Android and iOS, and losing I don't know, C bindings or whatever. I don't know about it on desktop. And or even web components and web assembly. That's a good thing. And there are some movements towards that in the community. There are two frameworks already doing it. The first one is Svelte.js. I love the slogan. It's called the magical disappearing UI framework. It means that you use it and your development is not there in your bundle that you're shipping to your users on production. It makes your life easier. It doesn't have to make the user's life harder. By Rich Harris. Do you guys know Rich Harris? He's the guy behind Rollup.js. He's the author of Rollup.js. And another one is Stencil, which the Ionic team came up with. And it's for using reusable web components. It's practically a compiler on top of web components. And it lets you create component-based UI. But the good thing about these two is that they're pioneers on this movement in the community. So it means that they're giving you a development experience thing, goody thing. But that's just a tool. They're not shipping it to the production bundle. So I'm here to talk about React. So what happens to the React team? What happens to the React community? If you want to use it, Tobias Koppers, he's a German guy. I hope that I'm pronouncing his name well. He is the author of Webpack. He's not that much familiar and famous in the community, but he is the main author of Webpack and one of the most active guys on GitHub and the only maintainer of Webpack right now. Probably everyone knows Webpack from Sean Larkin, but he's just like the developer advocate of it. And he wrote this thing. He stole the idea. He tweeted about it. He said that the idea is coming from Svelte.js by Rich Harris. He created this Babel plugin. What it does is that basically this Babel plugin, if you put it in your Babel.rc as the last plugin, it detects all the imports to React and React DOM on all of your files that you're trying to bundle it with any sort of bundler. And it replaces with the native operations and instructions. So by native, I mean right now, if you write a React component, well, if you're writing it, I hope that you're writing it with JSX. And if you're writing it with JSX, it means that one Babel plugin or, I don't know, preset or something is trying to transpile it to, two Babel plugin. Yeah, I'm not a Babel guy. Yeah. So, well, let's just say Babel is taking care of it to convert it to some functions behind the scene, and those functions have to be taken care of by React DOM to turn into DOM operations. But this actually takes care of it, so it's like a detour or something. And it's been there for like less than 2 weeks, and it still has like some sort of good stars. Not that the stars on GitHub are good, but just saying. And when does it make sense? Like any other tool, it doesn't make sense to use it as a golden hammer, right? Everything is not a problem for this tool to be solved. So there are a couple of situations that you might want to use and give this a try, but be really careful because this is just a proof of concept. It's not production ready. People already tested it on production. They gained a lot of benefit out of it, but still it's not on a stable version, so be really careful about it. If you have a small app and you have like a little amount of components, practically it could be like a good golden ratio if you say your components code base is less than the code base of React DOM, which is 100 kilobytes. If you have this sort of projects, you might want to give it a try, because it means that if you enable a React as your Babel plugin, and if you wipe out React and React DOM from your bundles on production, you're going to decrease the total bundle size. And when I say decrease the total bundle size, I'm going to show you a demo here, but let's just ruin it now and say that from 120 kilobytes, you're going to end up with less than 20 kilobytes. That's a huge win. If you have a code splitted app, so if you're using Gatsby, or if you're using Next.js, you're practically using this rule applies. So it says that if you have a code splitted app, without React and React DOM pushing to the bundle, it means that the initial bootstrap is super faster. Because if you have just one component, just think about it. If you have just one component, you're using React for just one component, which is not right. Don't do it. You're just adding like something around 120 kilobytes to your bundle just because of one component, and you're adding parsing and evaluating time to your runtime, right? Because React doesn't care. There's actually no reliable way for React, not that they want, but there is no reliable way for them to detect how many components do you have. They don't register it in an array or something. They would just statelessly compile everything. So it's your job to see that whether this applies for you or not. Yeah. And if you're using React to create web components, have you ever used that? Web components? If you ever used React to have a better development experience on top of creating a collection or like a library or something for web components, and as long as the output of your project is web components, then there is no need for you to ship React into your components, right? Because you won't need React on production of it. Your user who are using your web components, they're not going to care about React. They don't care about it. It's like using TypeScript. If you use TypeScript to write a library, you shouldn't ship your TypeScript to like users land, should you? No, because they don't care. They just want a JavaScript output from you. And apps with lots of component instances, it means that if I have like a generic list component that is being instantiated for like 1,000 times, or you have like a table row component that you're trying to render like a table with like 2,000 or whatever users coming from database, it means that 2,000 times without memoization, your component is going to be instantiated by React. So you might want to care about this there. Because that time, if you're going for like a huge amount of rendering, bindings of the DOM, for example, on the browser, they're going to be they're going to have less overhead, they're going to be faster. And apps with focus on low-end devices. So please, if you're shipping something for mobile is not perfect. I mean, I know that we have iPhone X. I know that we have like OnePlus or whatever, but not everyone has that. Not everyone can afford that. So if you want to create a product for someone who can actually practically use it on a mobile device or any sort of PC that is low-end, in the low tier, you have to care about this. A couple of notes. As I said, this is still a proof of concept. So I won't say safe to use it on production, but give it a try. It doesn't hurt. It supports all of the features besides suspense and incremental rendering. And by incremental rendering, I don't know about the thing. I just copy-pasted from the docs. But I know that it supports scheduling. So if you want to support suspense later, you might want to just put it there and wait for it. Alternatives might be using Elm or Reason. If you have ever used Elm or Reason ML, please, I know that you hate me now, but don't kill me. Elm and Reason are also another development experience, but the end result is still JavaScript, so it's like the same concept, right? And as a last resort, you might want to use PureReact and HyperApp. Have you ever heard of HyperApp? It's basically like JSX with a bunch of other things that are good, and it's just 1 kilobyte. So if you just want to have like a component-based UI, and you don't want to like get really nuts and crazy with React things, you might want to go with HyperApp, and you don't have to care about any of this because it's just 1 kilobyte. Or PureReact, because it used to be 4 kilobytes, but Jason Miller came up with an idea to like wipe out a couple of type cards from the runtime, and it's now 3 kilobytes. And it does most of the things that React does. Yeah. Thank you for your patience and your time. Thanks for bearing me. And if you want the slides, it's on headless React. It's not there. I just copy-pasted from my previous talk. Yeah, sure. It's on React without react.netlify.com. It's actually deployed. It's not there, yeah. So, yeah, thank you. Any questions?
Questions?
Thank you for the great presentation. So I have two questions. So on an extremely high level, what were the main problems that these libraries or tools that don't ship React to production are trying to solve? If I understood correctly, there was two. One is the bundle size, which concerns the network, ability of to fetch that bundle, and the other thing is bootstrap time, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, let me just. Yeah. So yeah, the first one is, as you said, bundle size, which is great. But if you're shipping 9 megabytes of bundle, I don't think that's the right concern. And the other one is, yeah, the fast bootstrap thing. But
Okay.
my main concern that interests me to go into that topic was we're going into the wrong path. It's just because we have all these frameworks like Angular, React, Vue, or whatever. We also have Polymer and Web Component. We have WebAssembly on the other side. It's like a multi-dimensional problem. People are just trying to create different solutions, but none of them are right. Right? I mean, Polymer is actually literally the solution to this problem, but no one adopted it, and it's been around for like 3 years. So there's something wrong there. We're going into the wrong path. What I was trying to say here is that let's just think together as a community and find what is wrong with us, and let's just find a good solution for it.
Okay.
If we have come up with some solution that is there, but people don't know it, let's just like, bring it up to Twitter or whatever or something, so people would know it. People would just give it a shot on different projects, so we'll know what's wrong. It would evolve.
Okay.
Or, I don't know, if we don't have the solution yet, someone should be smart enough to think about it. I'm not smart. I don't know.
Okay. So perhaps I wasn't listening good enough, because my attention went towards these two high-level issues that these frameworks were trying to solve. So if you could please tell me what is the high-level, what is the problem when you say that the community is going towards the wrong path? What's wrong with React without the bundle size and without what was the other thing?
The fast
bootstrap time. If you put that aside, what is actually wrong? What are we doing wrong?
It's not wrong 100 times.
No, just
but I'm just trying to. Yeah. But people are using React. I mean, I just use React because it's highly adopted. Okay. People are using React for whatever, literally whatever. If you're using if I wanted to create my own plugin with just one paragraph of text, I prefer React because it's like my comfort zone. But the problem is, not always React is the best solution. And with all those wrong use cases, it's the golden hammer anti-pattern. And it means that besides the bundle size and the bootstrap time, we are always shipping DX as a UX. And that's my problem. It's not fair for the user to ship all these things that makes our lives easier, right? My problem is just like a generic thing. But usually, these generic problems, they also have like some sides that are technical. And the technical aspects for the problem is that the bundle size and the bootstrap time. And the bootstrap time was so serious that Netflix got rid of React for the homepage.
Okay. Okay. So, so you mentioned that if we put those aside, the main issue is that we are shipping DX and not the UX.
We're shipping DX as a UX.
As a UX, but then the but if we put that aside, if we put those two problems aside, there wasn't any mention of the actual problem.
Okay, define actual problem.
When you mentioned that, okay, maybe it was the golden hammer.
Okay,
yeah.
like my main takeaways from this one is that the problem is it's not just like a really baked, like mature, like problem and solution pair yet. I just created them today. I couldn't even like come up with a good thing to make up my mind to like present it in the best way. And also people who created this sort of solution, they don't even know what they're doing because we don't know the problem yet.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you care about the technical stuff and if you care about your users, you have to be careful about three things: load time, bundle size, and right UX.
Right.
That's it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. I have actually two questions, and the first one is, when Netflix got rid of React, what did it replace it with?
Native DOM.
Okay.
It's just because they didn't need it. I'm not saying, I'm a React advocate. I love React. I'm not saying React is bad. I'm just saying React is not good for everything.
Okay. And probably the second question is, you put all of those use cases where, for example, these baby libraries that strip down your bundle size are really useful, but what would be the anti-use case? What would be the situation in which we should like totally not do that, in your opinion?
Totally not ship React into the runtime.
No, I'm not talking about React. I'm talking about when we shouldn't use, like, let's say that Babel plugin that strips down React. What are the use cases where we shouldn't use what you suggested us to use?
Any kind of use case that is outside of this list. And I just literally copy-pasted it from the documentations.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think this is a really great topic. I think people haven't thought about this enough. If you think that this interests you, because I don't have the answer that you want, okay? If you think that this interests you, we can always like create an issue and try to discuss this, right? Because these sort of solutions, they need RFCs. They need to be evolved. They need to like, they need other people to like integrate into the project, try to give it a try, and try to come up with these sort of fundamental questions. But what I think is that if I'm writing a super complicated application and I'm not doing server-side rendering and everything is happening on the client side, or if I'm doing a mobile application with React Native that is very complicated, I would really care about this. I would try to find out whether it applies to this list. And I would say if I don't know whether we care about bundle size on mobile, but on like browser web, if I care about bundle size, I would give it a shot. If I care about like speed and performance, I would give it a shot. Because not all of us actually open DevTools and look at the scripting jar.
No, I think it's a very good suggestion. Like in my case, we were building an application without server-side rendering first, and I realized that there's really no elegant way to just like magically optimize bundle size other than like minifying it a bit. So that was a very helpful way. I hope at some point it would be safe to be used on production.
I have another solution that there is a tool developed by a Finnish guy, Juho Vapsalainen or something, behind Survive.js.
Yeah.
Great guy. He created a tool called Webpack Bundle Analyzer. So if you open, it's just a plugin for your Webpack configuration. Add it to your Webpack configuration, and it will open a development server for you. If the biggest chunk there is React DOM, you have to be worried. It means that React DOM is not the best solution for you there. I would go with pure React or Hyper or Svelte, because Svelte is actually based on pure HTML, and it does all of the things that React does. But still, we need React because React has like a really high adopted situation, and there are like lots of developers who can do our job in React. And well, clients care about when they hear React, they think that we're doing something serious. So yeah, thank you.